Hold the bar on top of the clavicle. Flex the elbows, hyperextend the wrists, and keep the palms on top of the shoulders. Hold the chest up and out, with feet hip distance apart. On the eccentric phase, flexion of the hip and knee joint occur. Keep the heels flat on the floor with the knees over the feet, and inhale on the eccentric phase. On the concentric phase, hip and knees extend at the same rate, keeping the elbows high and the chest up, and exhaling on the lift. Grasp the bar with a closed pronated grip slightly wider than shoulder width. Hold the bar above the posterior deltoids at the base of the neck. Keep the chest up and out and tilt the head up. During the eccentric phase, flexion of the hip and knee joint occur, and slightly flex the torso. Heels are flat on the floor and knees are over the feet, and inhaling on the eccentric phase. During the concentric phase, hip and knees extend at the same rate, and exhaling on the lift. Sit on the edge of the box with knees at a 90-degree angle and feet hip distance apart. Keep the back, shoulders, and core tight. On the concentric phase, hip and knees are extending on the lift. Keep the weight on your heels and drive upward off the box. Maintain a neutral spine, high chin and chest, and exhale on the lift. On the eccentric phase, hip and knee joint are flexing on the lower phase. Push the knees and butt out. Sit back with your hips until you are seated on the box and shin should be perpendicular to the ground. Hold the bar with a supinated grip, hands slightly wider than shoulder width apart. On the concentric phase, the shoulder girdle is going through retraction and depression, shoulder joint is going through flexion, adduction, elbow joint is going through flexion, and always exhaling on the concentric phase. On the eccentric phase, the shoulder girdle is going through protraction, elevation, shoulder joint is going through extension, abduction, elbow joint is extension, and always inhaling on the lowering, eccentric. Lay flat with your back on a bench. Have a closed pronated grip of the dumbbells and pull the dumbbells toward each other in a wide arc. On the concentric phase, the shoulder joint is going through horizontal adduction, shoulder joint is going through protraction, and the elbow joint is going through extension. Exhale on the concentric phase and keep the dumbbells in line with the elbows and shoulders. On the eccentric phase, the shoulder joint is going through horizontal abduction, shoulder joint is going through retraction, elbow joint is going through flexion. Inhale on the eccentric phase and keep the wrists rigid. Pull the dumbbell down towards nipple range on eccentric phase.
Place the bar directly above the laces of your sneakers and grasp it with a closed pronated grip that is a little wider than shoulder width. Make sure to place your feet hip distance apart and lift the bar approximately to your waist. During the concentric phase, your knees are performing extension as well as your hips. During the lift phase, you are always exhaling. During the eccentric phase, your knees are going through flexion. You are hinging at your hips and they too are performing flexion. You are always inhaling. Grasp the bar with a pronated grip a little wider than shoulder width. Assume a neutral spine and make sure that your feet are shoulder width apart while keeping knees moderately flexed. During the concentric phase, your elbows are performing flexion while the shoulder girdle is retracting. During concentric phase, you are always exhaling. During the eccentric phase, your elbows are performing extension, the shoulder girdle is protracting, and you are always inhaling. Place body on bench so that the eyes are directly below the bar. Grasp bar with a closed pronated grip, slightly wider than shoulder width. Guide the bar to a position over the chest with elbows fully extended. During the concentric phase, the elbows are performing extension. The shoulder joint is performing horizontal adduction, and you're always exhaling. During the eccentric phase, the elbows are performing flexion, the shoulder joint is performing horizontal abduction, and you are always inhaling. Step up to the machine and place both knees on the bench. Grasp the bar with the closed pronated grip. During the concentric phase, the elbow joint is performing flexion, the shoulder joint is performing adduction, and you're always exhaling. During the eccentric phase, the elbow joint is performing extension, the shoulder joint is performing abduction, and you're always inhaling. Bend over with one knee in contact with the bench and the other foot flat on the floor. Ensure that hip and knee are at a 90-degree angle and that your spine is in a neutral position. During the concentric phase, your elbow joint is performing flexion, your shoulder joint is performing retraction, and you are always exhaling. During the eccentric phase, your elbow joint is performing extension, your shoulder joint is performing protraction, and you are always inhaling.